So this is period 2, Stockholm versus Helsinki.
Nice.
Nice offense.
Yeah, Ekholm's really good at picking up contact points to that offense.
It's interesting, actually, how, if you go back, how Slinky took both of those 2 hits to her chest. Like, instead of counter blocking, she leans back here to kind of let it slide off, and here as well. Like, she moves with it, which is something you don't normally see.
Yep, slides off, support for teammate. Yep, rolls off. Yeah. Nice.
She's got like her feet right under her, so she doesn't like lose her balance or anything. Yeah, really effective.
Nice.
Both teams in this have done a really good job of making sure none of their jammers have got stuck in a grind. Like, the jammers have been engaging, they've used the star pass well, and then offenses often come in and like split everything up as well. I don't feel like I've seen a prolonged period of somebody just having to be stuck in a 3-wall and pushing, which is what you tend to see in other games.
Okay, so 2 Stockholm in the box. So they're doing that kind of slightly separate again.
So sort of, just slightly apart. And then, unfortunately, Jammer does get past. And then here, White pivot gets a 4-arms penalty. Now, this is something that like we talk about a lot as a league, but you never want to get penalties, but there are situations that are better to get penalties, situations that are worse, and this is one of the very, very worst. Yeah, when you're already 2 people down, getting the third, you put yourself in a situation that's almost indefensible. You want to be coming off the track with more people, not fewer. And so, in fact, we actually do specific drills that start with you 4-2 down to teach you not to reach or not to overreach in this situation.
Yeah, because it feels like you get that slight panic in you because you're in a rubbish situation, and people tend to do more overreaching. So it's you kind of have to really train that opposite.
It also looks like the Stockholm jammer is struggling, so I'd be trying to keep her on the track.
Yeah. Helsinki was so on that star pass though.
Yeah. It was. I think I went back and looked at it a couple of times, and I tried to see if the jammer could have done anything different. But when you go back, she kind of moves as far to the inside. Maybe just guilty of not trying to push enough herself and like trick the wall into thinking that she still got the star. When the jammer kind of gives it up and then they don't carry on attacking, it's a clear tell. Like she's not moving at all, as if she's still got it, which allows the rest of those blockers to focus on the pivot because they know that she's got it in hand.
Yeah.
And they're not really in a close compact space. Like, that's like, they're like, like almost something like 12.
Like, actually, hand pushing at the back is what then allows this blocker 600, is it, to come away from her in the triangle and cover the width of the track there, because that jammer with the star is not keeping the wall honest at that point. So therefore they've got the ability to rest and kind of spread out across the track and make sure that the star pass isn't going to be clean.
And the time to like be looking up and around and seeing that pivot returning from the box. Like,
not
pressure at all.
Yeah, they've got two sets of eyes looking that direction, which is going to help them because they're only utilising that long hand-on-hand or forearm kind of brace there.
This is like the ultimate version of that, extending the triangle that we were talking about earlier, where you've literally let one person rotate around just to extend the thing even further, so that when the star pass does eventually happen, you're just in a position, you only lost basically one person to the jammer, and the other 2 are ready to form a 2-wall. Opposite end of the pack, if you look at what's happening at the front here, this is another one of these classic situations that we saw more and more, where you have like the last backwards facing blocker, and the jammer trying to drive forwards through them, and you get all this funny upper arm contact happening where everybody sort of sits and looks awkwardly at it and goes, well, upper arm to upper arm is legal, but... You know. So I think this is the one that Stockholm have made multiple times this game, which is really killing them. If you watch the way that they start, they let Helsinki drop back, but they let themselves get driven forward by the offense. Like, as this Helsinki triangle, if you're a triangle against a comparably skilled jammer with no offense against you, you should win indefinitely. And that's basically what happens for at least a good 15 seconds here, right? They just hold and they hold and they hold. But because of the way that Stockholm set it up, they get a little bit lucky there. But
are you calling that hit clockwise or not because the jammer doesn't go down?
Oh, here, yeah. Yeah, and jammer doesn't go down, so no impact.
Yeah.
It's a clockwise, but it's no impact, no penalty. So.
I was having this discussion earlier because I was insisting that we drop hard into jammers as a way of cancelling out their forward speed. You don't often knock the jammer over backwards. Surprisingly, when they are in the middle and hitting you in the seam, they kind of get stuck there rather than falling over.
It's also really good because often, like, we're coming in and we're planning to do some sort of juke, and if you suck back as well, like, it just can catch us by surprise.
Yeah, it's a good point because the jammer, they love to have the decision of like, I choose the contact's going to be on me here and it's going to be over there. Whereas if as a triangle, if you can start becoming more aggressive and taking away those decisions, and you're saying we're gonna contact you and we're gonna do it here where you're not ready for it or you don't want it, kind of like dictates the way that the jam's going to go. If you're
nice.
I think if you go back there, the blocker number 4 drops back alongside there, like in a good position to do offense, but then changes their mind and ends up not having defense either. Like they want to drop back again there, and then they would have had a line on the inside for their jammer, but instead went to the front but not really getting with their other blocker and ended up just being a kind of moment of indecision where the jammer gets a pass and your own jammer is stuck.
Yeah. It's actually a great bit of backwards footwork by 0-3 there. Like, to maintain the momentum and the control and the contact all the way to the line backwards, quite nice.
And the awareness, she doesn't even need to look down to know that that player's off the track. She doesn't look back at all, just immediately starts recycling.
Yeah.
For me, this run back is irritating, and it's something you see a lot where they don't get in a good shape. So pointless doing the run back in any case because they're not ready to catch the jammer when she's come back in.
Helsinki going to give themselves a load of space again. Yeah.
What?
And this is really nice from Helsinki. They're using the barn doors clarification from about here. These two, green 90 and green 604 over there, that have their arms across each other's backs, but they're not using forearms to impede. There's no impenetrable link, so it's no multiplayer. It's really nice, really powerful position.
So
really great. I like that this kind of cube-esque 4-person system they've got right there.
Like bracing the tripod kind of
Yeah, just making it awkward for offense to come in and really like slowing down Patio, who they've had trouble with before. Like once they built up momentum.
And I like that they've identified a jam that they're having trouble with, and they've just said, you know what, if it takes 4 people, it takes 4 people.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those times where 4 takes the jammer off, and instead of like before where like the 2 didn't come back but they were kind of sat on them, they're kind of in the middle, and it's kind of one of those times where it not reforming after the recycle kind of falls apart a bit.
Yeah.
Off, and they rush to get in front into that position, but like it ends up, because of where the offense is and everything like that, it ends up just not.
So again, like, this is all quite nice. So like Stockholm actually do a better job of crushing back here and making Helsinki uncomfortable. And it gives Little Slinky just enough to get through and get away.
Yeah.
Quite nice. And then here, the spare, the white 27, tries to keep the pivot away. When she realizes she can't, she goes to playing defense, which is the right thing. But the hit is a bit strong from Helsinki. How it's beautiful by Slinky.
This is what they have to do at this point. They're like got 11 minutes left. They're down like 30 points, and the other teams in the star pass like 100%. Right.
Yeah, the pendulum swinging.
And,
they've now got block advantage.
Yeah.
I'd still have been tempted to run that.
I disagree with that call off, because Slinky is just like racking.
The blocker advantage, like that's the perfect track for Slinky. When there's 2, there's going to be gaps around the edges and stuff. It's not like you can get slowed down and caught. Great job from Helsinki there to get a lead.
This is the kind of thing you can't get wrong at Stockholm. Like, Helsinki aren't even really on them, you know? You cannot, as a 3-wall at the back with no offense on you, lose the jammer.
Just found an edge. Did you notice Stockholm had made an adjustment there when the offense was trying to keep them separated and push them forwards? They did try and divide and go around. So they have learned from what was happening in the first half. So here they want to do the same thing again, Helsinki. They've separated to go around. They have got tighter offenses, still able to push a couple of them forward.
That's nice. That's a really good reaction response.
Yeah, that's it. They're like, we have to get behind that offense.
An interesting one from Helsinki here to call it, because they're 4-3 up, so I get it. It lets them go into the next jam with like good control, but I feel like if they'd run it, they could have easily burned time off the clock and not really risked losing any point difference, because the opposing jammer effectively has to score a pass +1 in the time that you score a pass in order for there to be any loss at all.
This is where you start to really realize the pressure now if you're Stockholm. Like, you've got at least like 20 odd points that you need to get, and it's now under 6 minutes. It's going to be like you need all the jams to go in your favor.
Yeah. Kind of see like Helsinki there trying to be as like wide as possible on that track at that start, like to cover those edges.
Yeah.
They also did a good job of disengaging from the Stockholm offense.
Yeah.
Because Stockholm started with the blocker advantage, so they used that blocker as O.
Well, it's doable. And,
Drop.
See, if I was Stockholm, did they had an advantage as well, didn't they, at the start?
4-3, yeah.
And this is like the last like jam, or possibly the last jam, like, you know.
Yeah.
I might have just like done a 2-0 start, you know, because it's kind of like what's important there is they get lead quick. They don't just need lead; they need lead quick to score those points.
I'd have been tempted.
You know, like I'm not saying forever, but I would have maybe done like, you know, one hit and one forever, like forever. What's important? Lead quick.
There's also
an advantage, like
pull them down so that they could get another one with the timeout.
Yeah. It depends a little bit what you're playing for. If you're playing a knockout tournament, then absolutely. If you're just playing a regular season game and all you want to do is game the WFTDA scoring system, sometimes, you know, you just want to play for score ratio.
I want to win.
Oh, I agree 100%, but, you know, we've been put in a position where we're asked to game algorithms.
Still want to win. Is that the end, or is there one more?
No, there's one more. 4-2.
I've got a feeling this is one where they call it early as well, just because they want to stick closer to the differential rather than...
Yawn.
So they're out lead.
I mean, I'm not the person who's responsible for knowing all the algorithm stuff and knowing what point differentials we need. Nobody does. I just do what I'm told.
Nice, that's 4. She needs 26. She needs 22. That needs 18.
That was great. That was slinky. So great.
Clockwise, yeah, there you go. 14.
Stars out now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it right.
So, good job there, Helsinki.
That was pretty controlled, didn't it? But they didn't seem to panic.
A lot of the time when things are that close for that long, at one point, one team will lose their temper and go into a penalty spiral or something like that, but both teams largely held themselves together and played well throughout. It was also, as you pointed out, it was nice to watch Stockholm actually adjust on the fly. And by the second half, especially in the last stage of the second half, they weren't letting the Helsinki offense push them forward on the jam start. They were making a more aggressive drop back when they had the rear. You know, it was nice to see.
It was a nice game. It's a nice game. Yeah.
Thanks everybody for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Please do let us know if you have any thoughts or feedback on anything we've talked about. As ever, if you're keen to get involved, or especially if you play for one of these kind of teams and have some footage available, you'd like to come be a guest on our show, do let us know. We'd love to have more people getting involved. Until next time, have fun.
Bye.
Bye.